It may be just because I think, 2 or 3 years ago, gummies, as I was starting to say, really, was just seen as a product you give to kids, and it's got a little bit of vitamins in. It's like a multivitamin that they can accept. But because Alive has entered the market in particular, and there was a company as well called Pharmacare Europe who take a lot of innovation from Australia, and they've introduced some of their Australian gummies products into the UK as well. That whole format, I think, has become much, much, much more acceptable for adults than ever before. And I think for someone to come in there with a kind of almost a premium way of introducing this acceptable, palatable way of taking collagen, because not everybody likes the taste and texture of drinking the collagen. I think it's worth touching on that a lot of the newer products are coming in is based with it's marine-based collagen rather than sort of hydrolyzed sort of bovine collagen, which is quite an important one, I think. So for me, I would probably be feeling it would be more about marine. It just seems to be more acceptable. There's a bit more of a sort of an ethical buying trend that's going on, particularly with the likes of Holland & Barrett. That's really driving that as part of their retailer brand agenda. So they're moving to vegetarian in lots of their things, vegetarian capsules, for example. So it could well be that if you have a pectin-based or something with marine collagen in a gummy, that could be quite interesting.
Okay. And is there any positioning or things like that tend to do better in the UK versus, is it better to tout, the ingredient, or is it better to tout kind of the end benefit? How has the market kind of come about?
I think it's actually somewhat more shallow than that. Because it is self-selection, it's about what's shiny and new and looks attractive. Honestly, it may sound crazy, but I think one of the risks, again, when I was looking at a project a couple of years ago, is you can go in too cheap. If you price something, 10 quid higher than the market average, there is the sense that people are willing to pay more. I would also, again, might not be what you'd like to hear, and certainly if you're a sort of an ingredient specialist, but the role of packaging, I think, has an important impact. So what it looks like and feels like, whether it's glass bottles, for example, rather than plastic, whether it's the use of gold in a packaging carton, or like a matte finish. Do you know what I mean? It's actually, it sounds quite crazy, but it's all about the presentation and the promise, I think, in the end.
Well, it's good news for a marketer then.
Yeah, absolutely. Marketer's dream. And then obviously within that, social media would be absolutely massive as well. And if you can get someone on board who can recommend your product, then you could get something taken off a storm.
So that was another question I had. Is there a certain age group that tends to gravitate more towards this? Is it the younger generation, older generation? Do you have an idea?
Yeah, I do have an idea. Funny enough, I was going back to some data that I had, and I was surprised as to how it probably wasn't as young as I thought it might be. And I don't know why that should surprise me, I suppose, because it sort of started to peak more sort of 40 plus, sort of 50, and in between 40 and 60 is kind of like the sweet spot. But I'd say that's kind of superficial top-line data that's drawn from a particular source, and I wouldn't necessarily want to state that as true of every brand, for example.
Right. And do you think there is an opportunity with the younger generation, or probably maybe not?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's really interesting the way that the supplements market is divided. There was a Mintel report published recently, and I'm still not sure if I believe it. It's actually saying that the younger generation, by which they mean the sort of 25 to 30s, are driving still the new entrants into the supplements category. And although they've got a greater awareness, and they're kind of tying the two together, that they're saying because they've got a greater awareness of the diet and health and well-being and what they need and what they eat, a lot of specific diets are being followed, perhaps more sort of plant-based protein diets and vegetarian kind of diets. And so they're recognising the need that they may not get everything they need from their diets, and therefore turning to